It's Sunday, and you know that means I'm coming at you with an absolute banger. Sunday just feels like the day for bangers, and we have a great one today. Most improved player from every single team in Major League Baseball. You might be wondering, how is this different from most surprising, which I did last weekend? Let me tell you, it's different. To be a most improved player, there has to be growth. It's not someone who's breaking out like Yerman Mercedes or a guy having a good rookie season. I have to see legitimate growth. You got better. You can be good, and you could have gone to elite. You could have been Mike Trout good and gotten even better. Or you could have been someone that was absolutely terrible and has become a solid player. We're just looking for growth here, the most improved player on every single team. If you guys enjoy this video and you want to see the players that have, I guess, regressed the most from every single team in Major League Baseball, drop a like. 4,000 likes, we're gonna get that to you next weekend. Subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subbed, click the sub button. What are you waiting for? Join the team. Get in the comment section down below. Let me know who you think the most improved player in Major League Baseball is, and make sure you follow me on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc, links in the description, as well as if you want to buy any tickets to any sporting events, make sure to check out SeatGeek and use the promo code Giraffe. Save yourself $20 off your first purchase. So without further ado, let's go into the most improved player from every single team in Major League Baseball. For the most improved player on the Chicago Cubs, I'm going to go with Adbert Alzolay. Alzolay is a rookie this year, had only made 10 appearances in Major League Baseball prior to this season, but this year at age 26, Alzolay seems to be taking a step forward. He's a guy who's always had top quality stuff, a really talented arm, but he's had issues with walks. But this year in 2021, he went from a guy who was averaging about 5 to 6 walks per 9 innings to giving up less than 2 per 9. He has a whip under 1 at .926. His ERA is 3.81. He's striking out a decent amount of batters, right around that 25-30% range. Adbert Alzolay has turned into a really solid pitcher for the Chicago Cubs, who need a guy like this to step up when it seems like everybody in the rotation isn't. While I could have picked some guys from the bullpen, maybe like Craig Kimbrell, I ended up going with Alzolay because I really do think that there's been more growth here, where a guy like Kimbrell's more of a comeback player. This next guy for the Brewers, Omar Narvaez. He had been a good player with Seattle, but he was always an offensive first catcher. This year, the offense is back after an abysmal 2020 where he had a .562 OPS. Right now, 3 homers, 6 doubles, 13 RBIs, 311 average, 388 on base, 453 slugging, 841 OPS. But here's where he's made the huge jump. In years past, he's been one of the worst defensive catchers, specifically framing, and this year he's been great. DRS wise, he has 0, which is a lot better than the -18 we saw a few years ago. And in terms of framing, he is 7th in baseball in run extra strikes, which is 2 behind guys like Higashioka, Martin Maldonado, Jose Trevino, and Jonah Heim. And on the strike rate, he's right in the middle of the pack at 13th. So he's improved his game defensively, and he's having a great offensive season. Easy candidate for most improved player on the Brewers. For the Baltimore Orioles, real easy pick. It's going to be John Means. John Means went from being a middle of the pack pitcher that you didn't necessarily think could be an ace maybe one day to being a legitimate ace for the Baltimore Orioles. Of course, we know about the no-hitter that I threw against the Mariners, and this year the numbers just jump off the page. 4-0 record in 10 starts, 1.79 ERA, a whip that is the best in American League Baseball at .750, ERA plus 242, giving up 5.2 hits per 9. That is way down on his career numbers. He's walking less guys, he's striking out more. He's just all around having a fantastic season, and has went from being, again, a very solid pitcher to a guy who can be a legitimate ace for these Orioles. Sticking with the theme of pitchers here, let's go to the Motor City Detroit Tigers, Casey Mize. Casey Mize came up in 2020 rookie season, #1 overall pick out of Auburn back in 2018. He had high hopes, and he was a little disappointing. 7 starts, 6.99 ERA, like nice, but again, no. 1.482 whip. He was giving up a lot of home runs, struggling with walks and hits, just wasn't that good. This year, while the strikeouts are down, he's limiting hits, he's limiting base runners, he's limiting the long ball, and he has looked like the #1 overall pick that everybody was expecting. And specifically in the month of May, Mize has been fantastic. He has a 1.74 ERA in the month of May. Opponents are hitting 162, a 490 OPS. That is dominant stuff. 27 strikeouts in 31 innings to 10 walks. Only allowed 6 earned runs in 31 innings. Like, that's a really good month, and it's building him into this really good pitcher you thought the Tigers were going to have. He's much improved. For the Reds, tough pick, but Jesse Winker. Now, you might be saying, like, he's been good, though. He's not the most improved. Well, the numbers are just so much better, even though he was good, that he qualifies as the most improved in my eyes. Prior to this year, he had an .859 career OPS, and his 162 game averages were like 23 homers, 26 doubles. Like, he was a very good offensive player. But this year, the bat is something else with Jesse Winker. In his 43 games, 13 homers, 10 doubles, 29 RBIs, hitting 349 with a 404 on base, 645 slugging, and 1050 OPS. Those are some sick numbers, and the numbers just keep getting better and better for him offensively. He's an absolute beast at the plate. Went from being really good to elite. For the Houston Astros, I'm going to go to the pitching side here with Luis Garcia. Tough team to pick someone for, but I like Garcia because the strikeouts, they're way up. Granted, in 2020, 12 1/3 innings, didn't have a lot of appearances, 9 strikeouts to the 49 batters he's faced, but this year he has 46 innings pitched, 54 strikeouts of the 186 he's faced. The K per 9 is up to 10.6. The hit per 9 is still really good at 6.1. He's walking less batters while he is giving up a few more homers. Overall, I think Luis Garcia has been a better pitcher in 2021 than he was in the year past, and he's been a really solid piece for them in a rotation rotation that could use some help for sure. Dude's also just got some sick stuff. The Tampa Bay Rays seemingly every year take guys that were nothing and turn them into something, and they're doing it again this year with Francisco Mejia. Now, Mejia was a highly touted prospect. The good player was inside of him somewhere, but teams haven't really been able to get that out of him since he joined the Rays in the 27 games, under 100 plate appearances, so small sample, but 3 homers, 6 doubles, 13 RBIs, hitting .271 with a .337 on base, .447 slugging, and a .784 OPS. Career highs all around in the percentage and slash line department, and he's playing pretty decent defense behind the plate. Francisco Mejia, the Rays have gotten at least a glimmer of the potential that you thought you were seeing from him before. On Baseball Reference, he has a career 1.1 WAR. 1.0 of it came this season. Definitely improved. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, I'm going to go to the reliever department here. Dave Bednar. Dave Bednar has looked sick for the Pirates, and honestly is turning into a legitimate reliever in Major League Baseball. Maybe even a guy that the Pirates could trade off at the deadline and get some serious pieces back for. He came over to the Pirates in the Joe Musgrove trade, and he's been great. Now, before this, you probably were wondering what he was like. 17 appearances, 6.75 ERA, 1.6 WHIP. This year, 19 innings, 2.84 ERA, a WHIP under 1 at .947, striking out 12.3 batters per 9 innings, 26 strikeouts to the 74 batters he's faced, 33% K rate basically. The walks are down to 1.9, the hits are down to 6.6. Bednar's doing something right in Pittsburgh. He has improved tenfold. Now, this guy for the Atlanta Braves made an appearance in my most surprising player video, but Austin Riley's also got to be the most improved for this team. Austin Riley is just turning into the player that Braves fans thought they were going to get, and based on how he's been hitting in years past, his numbers are sick. Again, 1.1 career B-WAR. This year alone, he has 1.9, so he was a negative B-WAR player before this season. Right now, 10 homers, 8 doubles, 22 RBIs, 313 average, 407 on base, 550 slugging, 957 OPS, across the board career highs, almost 100 points better in batting average than his career, over 100 points in the on-base department, and over 100 points in the slugging percentage department. He's been fantastic this year, turned into a really good player. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, the most improved player on this team is going to be Josh Rojas. Mentioned him in one of my previous videos. He's become a scrappy little player for them, a guy who can do a little bit of everything and has a nice bat at the plate. Prior to this season, you're looking at a guy whose OPS hovered around the 550-600 range. Not much there, but 2021, the swing's looking new, it's looking better, and he's driving the baseball. 5 homers, 11 doubles, and a triple with 14 RBIs, 291 average, 368 on base, 477 slugging, 845 OPS. That is an OPS almost 200 points higher than his career average. Rojas has definitely improved. Byron Buxton has to be the most improved player on the Minnesota Twins. Buxton is just crazy good. Small sample, 24 games, 98 plate appearances, but listen to these numbers. 9 homers, 10 doubles, 17 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, hitting .370 with a .408 on base, .772 slugging, and an .1180 OPS. Oh my God. Like, he had been really good the last few years. We've been seeing that breakout from him, turning into a top center fielder in the game. But right now, Byron Buxton's playing like this. He's an MVP candidate while he's currently on the IL. Hopefully he gets back soon healthy, because when he's on the field, he is doing some special stuff, getting up there in the talks of, if he can do this for a full season, one of the best players in the game. And you definitely weren't saying that prior to this season. For the Los Angeles Dodgers, I had to go with Julio Urias, even though he got shelled last night against the Giants. This guy is turning himself into a legitimate ace in the rotation. It's just that there's also like 3 or 4 other aces on this rotation, so he won't be yet, but he's got good stuff to be there. 11 starts this year, 7-2 record, 3.61 ERA, but prior to last night, it was hovering right around 3, 67 and a third innings pitched, striking out 75 batters. Opponents are hitting only .221 against him, whip of .95. You're looking at a K per 9 of over 10. The walks are down to only like 1 per 9 innings. The homers are down. Strikeout to walk ratio is incredible, 75-9. He's doing a really good job and being a great young pitcher for the Dodgers, something that they needed. He makes the difference on this team sometimes. Staying out west with another dominant team, the San Diego Padres, most improved player is going to be Joe Musgrove. Now, Musgrove wasn't bad last year with Pittsburgh in 2020, had a decent year, a little bit of a breakout, 3.86 ERA, 1.235 whip, but he was striking out a lot of batters. This year, he's doing it even better. 10 starts, 2.26 ERA, including, of course, the no-hitter, 55 2/3 innings. He struck out 76 of the 220 batters he's faced, only walking 12.3 K per 9, which is the best in the National League. The walks are down almost a full walk and a half to 1.9, and he's given up 2 less hits per game than last year to give him a whip at .826. Joe Musgrove has simply been really good. Incredible pickup for the Padres, and he's definitely improved. For the St. Louis Cardinals, former Elizabeth, New Jersey high school and full count baseball player Alex Reyes. I only say that because I lived around there and played for full count as well. Yeah, I'm bragging. I caught a bullpen next to a bullpen he was throwing. That's how cool I am. But besides all the hijinks there and the jokes, Alex Reyes has actually turned into a really good closer, despite the fact that he's still walking 8 guys per 9 innings. Like, it's shocking, but he doesn't give up hits, doesn't give up homers, and he's striking everybody out. So far in 25 appearances, he's finished 24 games, 14 saves, a .67 ERA, despite a whip at 1.33 in 27 innings pitched. But the big thing here is that Alex Reyes is turning into a legitimate pitcher. The control issues, still relevant. 8 walks per 9 is not good. But the strikeouts, the pitches, they're filthy, and he's gonna get that control under wraps soon. Really talented. Happy to see him doing well. Very much improved. For my favorite team, the New York Mets, we're going with Tomas Nido. Easy decision. Tomas Nido has been so good for this team. We're not where we are right now in first place in the East without him. Granted, incredibly small sample size. 21 games. He's hitting 263 with a 311 on base, 491 slugging, and an 803 OPS, 3 homers, 2 doubles, a triple, and 11 RBIs. He's been fantastic defensively, always really good, but he's thrown out everybody on the base paths this year. He's calling a great game defensively, stealing strikes, and at the plate, while we saw a little glimpse of it last year in 7 games, 929 OPS, this is a guy who, in 89 games prior to last year with the Mets, had a career OPS of 514. The fact that he's swinging not only just a competent bat, but an above-average bat for the Mets is huge, and I think this is a legitimate sign of what kind of player Tomas Nido can be for the future. He's looking really good. Nido King. Sticking in the division with the Miami Marlins, I'm gonna go with Jazz Chisholm. Jazz Chisholm came up last year in 2020, didn't look great. 21 games, 563 OPS, struggled. But this year he's come up and he's been fantastic. 29 games, 5 homers, 4 doubles, a triple, and 11 RBIs, stealing 9 bases, hitting 286 with a 350 on base, 486 slugging, 836 OPS. One of the front runners to win Rookie of the Year in the National League. He's incredibly talented, great in the field, great on the base paths, just a better player than we thought he was going to be. And based on what we saw last year, so easy to say he's the most improved player on that Marlins team. He's been great. For the Oakland Athletics, it was tough, but I'm going to go with Matt Olson. And his numbers aren't that particularly crazy for how good he normally is, but the big thing here is that he's improved on is his K rate. He's a dude who struck out like 30 to 35% in his career. This year, he's below 20 at like 17, 18. That's a huge change in Matt Olson, and it's showing in the numbers. 47 games, 13 homers, 11 doubles, 31 RBIs, hitting 260 with a 344 on base, 556 slugging, and 900 OPS. Last year in 60 games, he struck out 77 times. This year in 47, 34. It's a huge difference. It's gonna make him a really, really good hitter. He's putting the ball in play more, hitting home runs. That's an improvement to me. He's been great this year. Not a lot great going on for the Colorado Rockies, but one bright spot, Ryan McMahon. This guy is a ball player. I slept on Ryan McMahon recently. I know the people on Twitter have always been hyping him up, but he's really a good ball player. His best season was probably back in 2019, where he played 141 games, finished with a 779 OPS at Coors in the juice ball season. Like, not great, but this year so far in 2021, not only is he playing good defense, but he's also swinging a lethal bat. 51 games, 13 homers, 10 doubles, 31 RBIs, stealing 3 bases, hitting 259 with a 305 on base, 519 slugging, 824 OPS. This dude is just a straight up good ball player. He's impressed the hell out of me. I see huge improvements in his game, and he's turning into a guy that the Rockies could probably move and get a ton for, or you just use him as a part of the rebuild. He's that good. Heading out to the south side of the Windy City, Chicago White Sox most improved player is hands down Carlos Rodon. Carlos Rodon has been hyped before. He was a number 3 overall pick back in the 2014 draft out of NC State, and he's living up to it finally. After battling injuries, he's finally healthy this year, and in 8 starts, 48 and 2/3 innings, he threw a no-hitter, and his numbers are sick. 1.29 ERA, 0.719 whip. In the American League, he's a Cy Young candidate right now, striking out more batters than he ever has before. The velo's up, the hits are down, the walks are down, the home runs are down. He's doing everything fantastic. 72 strikeouts of the 187 batters he's faced. Absolutely gross. Rodon has been one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. Another pitcher with huge improvements this year comes from the San Francisco Giants, Kevin Gausman. I talked about him in a few videos. He's been surprisingly good, but the stuff is legit. 10 starts, 1.53 ERA, in 64 and 2/3 innings pitched, 0.851 whip, a FIP at 2.31, striking out over 10 batters per 9, giving up less than 5.5 hits. The home runs are not even like existent, under 2.5 walks, striking out 76 of the 248 he's faced. And for a guy who's been showing improvements every year since 2019, ever since he really got to the Reds, 2013 and 2019 he was a 4.3 ERA pitcher, and even in 2020, 3.62. This year, he's a Cy Young candidate in the National League. Big improvements for Gauss. Man, I realize I love pitchers, because for this next one here for the Phillies, it's another pitcher, Zach Wheeler. Now, you might be wondering, how has Zach Wheeler improved? He was 12th in the Cy Young voting last year, 2.92 ERA. That was in a small sample size, and right now we have a relatively comparable one, and he's been even better. 10 starts, 2.38 ERA, in 68 innings last year he threw 71, a whip under 1 at 0.941, a FIP at 2.53, but here's the big difference. Giving up less hits, and the strikeouts are way up. 10.3 Ks per 9, 78 of the 263 batters he's faced, as opposed to 53 of the 288 last year. He's under control. He's got command of every pitch. He's looking sick. He's been the best pitcher on the Phillies for sure, and he's slowly becoming one of the better pitchers in baseball. Zach Wheeler is legit, and he's probably the most improved player on that team, which just, it pains me to do that as a Mets fan. We could have had him, but we let him go. Thanks, Brody, for nothing. For the Washington Nationals, it was really tough to find someone who's been the most improved, but I'm going to go with Trey Turner, because the power numbers that we saw last year are still there, and we know that the balls are different this year. He's just turning into one of the best shortstops in the league right in front of our eyes. 46 games, 10 homers, 9 doubles, 26 RBIs, stealing 10 bases, hitting 316 with a 356 on base, 524 slugging, 880 OPS, getting better with the glove, getting better with the bat. He's just an absolute stud. He's a really, really good player, one of the the best shortstops in baseball. And while we saw a glimpse of it last year, and I've always been on the Trey Turner train, I think people are starting to realize that he's that good. And on a team that just doesn't have a lot of improvements, he was the best one. For the Seattle Mariners, I mentioned him as most surprising player, Kendall Graveman. He's just easily the most improved guy on this team. Justin Dunn, close second, I think. So far for Graveman, in his 30-year-old season out of nowhere, 14 appearances, granted he's on the IL, but 16 and 2/3 innings, 0.54 whip, hasn't allowed an earned run, a 0 ERA. He has a FIP at 1.8, striking out more batters than he ever has in his career, 2 more per 9 than usual, giving up only 3.2 hits per 9. The walks are down to 1.6. Everything about Kendall Graveman is better. He is vastly improved. He's become a legitimate piece in that bullpen. His career ERA, by the way, 4.28, whip 1.342. Massive improvement. Indians had a hard time figuring this one out, but I'm gonna go with James Karinchak. I know you might be saying, like, how is he gonna be better than he was last year because he was sick? But in a similar sample size, we're just getting better numbers. 24 games, 12 of them finished, 22 and 2/3 innings pitched, as opposed to 27 last year, a 1.59 ERA, which is a full run better than last season, 0.750 whip, which is almost half a point better than last year's, striking out 16.7 batters per 9 inning, crazy. Walking 4.4 still, that's not great. Homers are a little up, but again, it's small sample, but 2.4 hits. He's only given up 6 hits in 22 and 2/3 innings. That's insane. He's only given up 4 earned runs, and he struck out 42 of the 87 batters he's faced. Disgusting. He's so good. He's ridiculous. For the Bronx Bombers, the New York Yankees, Jonathan Loaisiga. Loaisiga has been really good, like a huge part of this team's success, especially coming out of the bullpen. He's given them big innings. 21 appearances, 26 and 1/3 innings pitched. He has a 2.39 ERA, a whip under 1 at 0.987, FIP at 3.15. All of these are career bests. While the strikeouts aren't crazy high, like a K rate not even 25%, 23 strikeouts of the 103 batters he's faced. He's not particularly ever going to be this high strikeout guy, but he's got the control a lot better than we've seen in the past. He's given up less hits, and he's getting outs for the Yankees when they need it. Loaisiga has been huge for them and is their most improved player. North of the border, although they were in Florida, now they're in Buffalo, Vlad Guerrero Jr., most improved player probably in all of baseball. Even the Blue Jays said it. They tweeted me it. Prior to the season, we knew about the hype. He was supposed to be great, and we knew he was, but where was it? His slash line was 269, 336, 442, and 778. Fine, but not the hype that we thought. This year in 50 games, Vlad Jr.'s living up to the hype. 331 average, 440 on base, 652 slugging, and 1092 OPS, the best in Major League Baseball. Leads the AL in on base and slugging. He has the most homers in Major League Baseball at 16, 10 doubles, 41 RBIs. He's walked as much as he struck out. Oh my God, Vlad Jr. You went from being good to one of the best hitters in baseball, and all it took was losing a little bit of weight and hitting the ball in the air more. Love Vlad Jr. He's an absolute stud. He is the most improved player in baseball without a doubt, and definitely on the Blue Jays. Keeping it in the AL East here, Boston Red Sox most improved player, Nick Pivetta. Nick Pivetta hadn't been good prior to this year. Phillies fans had told me for years he was going to be great. He never was. He went to Boston, and he's been good. 10 starts, a 3.86 ERA, which is just significantly lower than it was prior to last season. Before 2021, his career ERA was 5.4, basically a run and a half less, and 53 and 2/3 innings pitched. He's striking out 59 of the 224 batters he's faced, which is higher than his career average, 9.9 K per 9. The walks are up, which is a little not great, but the hits are down, and the home runs are down. He's limited in the long ball. A 1.267 whip, a FIP at 3.39. Like, he's just genuinely pitching well. He's not one of the nastiest pitchers in the league, and I don't think he's going to be like a Cy Young candidate by any means, but based on the pitcher that the Boston Red Sox got when they traded for him, he's definitely better than what we originally saw. For the Angels, Shohei Ohtani. Both sides of the plate, like, he's being a better hitter than we ever thought he would be, and he's a better pitcher, I think, than we thought he would be. This year in 2021, 15 homers, 11 doubles, 38 RBIs, and even stole 6 bases in 47 games, hitting 266 with a 328 on base, 616 slugging, 944 OPS. That's a career high OPS thus far through 47 games. Like, at the plate, he's just unbelievable. And then on the mound, he's even really good. While he is walking guys at an alarming rate, 2.72 ERA, especially coming off of a scary season in 2020, where injuries were a serious concern, off of Tommy John. 50 strikeouts of the 154 batters he's faced, 12.4 K per 9, 4.7 hits per 9, under 1 home run per 9, 1.239 whip. Ohtani's just so good. Like, no one expected him to be one of the best players in baseball, and he is. You tell me that's not the most improved player on the team? Don't tell me Jared Walsh. He's only been good since he's called up. Shohei Ohtani, while he was good, he's become elite. Adolis Garcia, that's the guy for the Rangers. There's no other option. It's Adolis Garcia. Prior to this season, in 24 games, 24 plate appearances, he had a negative 30 OPS plus and OPS at 255. Adolis Garcia was DFA'd. Nobody wanted him. He was on nobody's radar to be the kind of player that he's been. But this year, in 2021, 43 games, he's tied for the league lead with home runs at 16, 41 RBIs, even stole 5 bases, hitting 281 with a 320 on base, 599 slugging, 919 OPS. Yeah, most improved player. Actually, maybe more than Vlad Jr. He's just so good. He's incredible. He's been huge for the Rangers. 2.9 WAR this year. Well, B WAR, that is. It's still incredible. He's still so good. Adolis El Bombi Garcia. And then last but certainly not least, the most improved player on the Kansas City Royals, I'm going with Danny Duffy again. We've seen him be good in his career all the way back in 2014, but really the last few years have been rough, and he's never been the strikeout pitcher that we're seeing this season. So far, during this young year, year. While he is currently on the IL, he'll be coming back at some point. 7 starts, 1.94 ERA in 41 2/3 innings, basically the lowest of his career. 1.128 whip, fantastic. 10.4 K per 9, by far a career high. 2.6 walks, which is down, that's good. 0.4 home runs, that's down, that's good. And 7.6 hits. Every number that you look at for Danny Duffy this year, he's gotten better. He's been good, he's been great, and the Royals need him back soon because he's probably the best pitcher on that staff. So those are the most improved players in Major League Baseball for every team. I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Who is your most improved player in the league? Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it. 4,000 likes. We're gonna do the player that's regressed the most in baseball. Subscribe to the channel as I'm climbing my way to 200K, and make sure you follow me on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc, links in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. You know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload. Click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all tomorrow for a tier list. We got another position coming at you. Bye!